Hey there. So when we saw this first Terminator image come out, a lot of spin came with it. I thought that was funny too, considering after I've looked at this a little bit more, I think about the 61-year-old action hero here, and I guess when I think about it, I can see the product tie-ins. I'm not talking about toys either. I'm talking about, say, that commercial. I mean, really imagine this setting. You have her come in. She's got her gun in hand. She's moving the resistance forward. She says, troop movements are one thing, but the real bitch, it's having bowel incontinence. So when I want to move everything forward, I take Terminestra, because nothing terminates bowel incontinence better than. You could have a tie-in like that, would be perfect. And then, of course, we have Justin Bieber here, only slightly taller, because nothing says great movie like androgyny, and this is androgyny personified. You also have a little bit of rebar mixed in here, because when I think about taking out Terminators, I think rebar. Nothing quite says destroying a Terminator like 3 shotgun shells, rebar, maybe some smoke here, a pistol. They did bring a rocket launcher, but hey, who knows in there. And then, of course, we have to explain all of the smoke away. At first, I was thinking battle, but no, since Discount Mila Kunis is here, I guess this is because, they wanted to work in that 70s show theme, so we probably have Hyde over in the corner on the outtakes, smoking it up, because we're still in the basement. But no, when you're looking at all of the positive spin there, of course you're going to get people that have vested interests. Obviously, you're going to have that corporate spin. But then, of course, you think about the other spin. You're going to have spin like this. The ladies in Terminator, they don't need no man to kill those machines, because rejoice, Terminator image doesn't include any men. Now, they obviously rebranded this after the fact, but it's funny because the IP, it still actually has that in it. So when you go and you find it, I don't know, it just strikes me as funny. I thought you and I could go over this today because, well, it's short and, like I say, it's kind of funny, and it showcases what road this potentially goes down. Now, I'm hoping that I'm dead wrong in this. I'm hoping that when we're looking at this is just another terrible reboot idea, and maybe somebody can catch it along the way and set it on the straight and narrow, because I love Terminator movies. I mean, we even have Salvation out there. Salvation had interesting concepts. Let's go back to that. Let's get in the different brands of Terminators. We can bring in the Harvester and whatnot. We can have some HKs flying around. I mean, we can get back to the fun. We don't need another Genesis, although Genesis did have some good toy tie-ins. But anyhow, I'm getting off topic here, so let's look at this. What new Terminator image gets right about the franchise? It's not just about what's in the image, but what isn't. Do tell. Although the first image from next year's Terminator revival reveals nothing new about the plot of the movie, it does suggest that the franchise might have rediscovered its heart after far too many years in the wilderness. How did it manage that? Well, just look at what's in the image, or really, what isn't. The image tweeted from the official Terminator account this morning shows, and we go through the 3 people here, looking ready for battle as they approach the viewer. Battered and bruised, with flaming and smoking wreckage in the background. It's been lauded for the first opportunity to see Hamilton's Sarah Connor since 1991's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. But as welcome as that is, there's another, less obvious reason to get excited about the movie because of this image. There are no men in the photo. Oh yeah. Like I said, you don't need no man to terminate no Terminator. You teach that machine, because nothing says the way to terminate like a girl's night out. But continuing here, under the control of franchise creator James Cameron, Terminator was always a story about a woman. There were obviously men in the movies. Sarah's son, John, is the MacGuffin that gets the story going after all, and there are both sidekicks. Kyle Reese, old school Terminator in T2, and male threats. But at the center of it all, unmistakably, is Sarah Connor. You mean Sarah Connor that's running from a Terminator the whole time and you have a guy sent back to keep her from dying, that is your strong narrative about how all of this is about women. Exactly what other women were in this? We have Sarah Connor, of course, but exactly who else are we focusing on? We're going to focus on a roommate that ends up unceremoniously dead. What about the other Sarah Connors? They did a really good job fighting back. I thought it was about a murder machine that came from the future to murder a son, basically to keep him from being born. But somehow that's all about women, so we need to turn it all into a women movie. But continue. She was the engine of resistance and change for the entire narrative, and for both of Cameron's movies, the only character that really provided any emotional hook for the audience. Compare this with the subsequent movies in the series, all of which have been to a greater or lesser degree shunned by audiences and Terminator fans alike. The main character of 2003's Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines is an adult John Connor, and the main character in 2009's Terminator Salvation is again John, with newcomer Marcus Wright sharing the spotlight. Now, when we think about this movie, Terminator Salvation could have been a great movie. The only problem was that they went down the rabbit hole of the stupid heart thing. It did not need to be there. But you had all of the elements for a great Terminator movie. When you're talking about Terminator 3, well, Terminator 3 was basically yet another dose of the same old thing. And then, continuing here, for Terminator Genisys, although Emilia Clarke's Sarah was present, Kyle Reese was arguably the protagonist in this time around, with Sarah pushed into the background as a result. Of course, we don't want to take credit for Terminator Genisys within there, because even though we have a female front and center for most of the movie, nope, it was about someone else. Why? Because it is a muddled piece of tripe. I hate that movie too. Like I said, it has good tie-ins like Mega Block toys. In fact, I have some great sets from that. But when you look at that movie, my God, when you have an opening montage where you have people shooting Terminators in the head with shotguns, we have a problem. We have a huge problem, and it just develops from there. They had no idea what they were doing with that movie, and it shows. But anyhow, continuing. Indeed, since Cameron left the series in the 90s, arguably the most successful critically, and also with the franchise's core fan base, entry wasn't a movie at all. It was the television series Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which not only centered around Sarah, as the name suggests, but also included a female Terminator replacing Schwarzenegger, and in its second season included Catherine Weaver, a disguised Terminator that serves as that year's a big bad. Now, when going through this, I actually did enjoy that series, but come on, really. What you're saying pretty much is, compared to these outings over here, people love this. People did not love that series. There were so many issues with it. It struck you as WB's Terminator. Now, some people liked it. I liked it because I was a huge Terminator fan. But make no mistake, a lot of that had issues. Now, when you got to the second season, yes, there was some good stuff within it. When we started talking about the futurescape, you got into some interesting stuff. But, like I said, we could have had that with Terminator Salvation, but instead, we got that stupid plotline along the way. Maybe that suggests, when you put it together, that it's not about the female character at all, but rather putting a good plot together, and maybe having your murder machine go out and, well, murder some human beings. That's what it's about. The name doesn't imply Sarah Connor. When you go through this, your first name that's built here is Terminator. That's what we're talking about, murder machines. But continuing here, the lesson seems obvious. Yeah, highlight the Terminator. Oh wait, that's not what they're going to tell me. But continuing. But it's one that only appears to have been learned with the release of this new promotional image. Oh man, since this image, they learned it all right there. This tells you everything. Going to be a great movie. You just watch. You are totally wrong if you think that that looks like hot garbage. Continuing. continuing. When it comes to Terminator, arguably more than any other science fiction franchise, the future is female and always has been. My God. I mean, what other franchise did you try to ruin with that? Let me, Star Wars, think that out. Oh, wait, did I ruin that right there? Oh, man. I mean, when looking at this, my God, that is hilarious that they would throw that out there. The future is female. It's bright because we don't need no man to strike down that Terminator. But continuing here, the visual that audiences needed to see to have faith in any new installment isn't of the eponymous robot threat. Eponymous, really? You want to break that out? Listen to us. The future is female. We broke open our thesaurus to write this just for you. But continuing, any number of grimacing male action heroes brandishing weapons while sweating, or a callback to earlier promo posters, none of that is what makes the series special. What is? Meeting the women who are going to fight back and save tomorrow. Good work so far, Terminator. Now we're just waiting for the first teaser trailer for the follow-through. Oh my Lord. Yes, this is truly an article out there. This is one for the ages, and it tells you that if this is actually the way this is going to go forward, if you're talking about the branding of it, if you're talking about people trying to sell the movie like this, well, it fails. Especially, if we go forward and we hear people starting to talk about this more and more, if this becomes a center of the sale anyway, you've already got issues with Terminator. You've already had some big flops out there. Nobody wants to see another Genesis, but on top of that, they don't want to see what you just described there because, wow, you make that sound like we're going to have one of those movies where we have a girl's day out, and while we're along the way, we're going to terminate us a few of those Terminators because that's what people like, only they don't. We've seen that from Ghostbusters. We've seen that from Oceans. We've seen that over and over again. People want a movie about whatever the source is. Of course, they want to see something with a Terminator. They want to see something with people fighting them and work it together, make a good movie. It's not that freaking hard. And don't spin it this way. But anyhow, tell me what you think about this spin. Are you surprised? Are you expecting more? I figure we'll get a lot more of it, in fact. I'm just wondering who will be the first person to come out and actually say these things that we're seeing in an article. I'm wondering who from the studio, or will it be a director or a cast member that's going to come out and say the same things? And then when they get blowback, I'm wondering how long it will take them to come out and start attacking the fandom, because that seems to be the way all of this stuff goes. And of course, then it's relegated to the dustbin of failure. It's strange too, because you start to expect this type of stuff. You see one picture and yet you still expect it, because that seems to be the road that we travel over and over and over again, because somehow, some way, you have people out there that don't understand that a few people that are yelling something very shrilly, they don't actually back movies. They probably don't back Terminator at all. I mean, when you get down to it, that's probably not the franchise for them. But then again, what do I know? I mean, I'm only somebody that, again, is talking about the Mega Bloks toys and, talks about stuff like that. I mean, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be the target audience, because again, the future is female. But anyhow, like I say, tell me what you think. Also, if you like this channel's content, I do put up about an exclusive video a week now that's becoming pretty much the way that I'm going to handle Patreon. So if you want to check that out, definitely do. If you want to support the channel, many options there in the description. I appreciate it. Thank you.